It's caused me a lot of pain and suffering not knowing the answer to this really deep and universal question, which is, ever wondered what kind of cake matches your personality? So today, we're gonna find out. Here we go. Here we go. Pick your favorite animal. My favorite animal on this list is definitely a fox. Next, pick an outfit. Ooh, good grief, they don't have my style on here. Well, I guess I like the one with the sweater and the collared shirt. Brown. I like neutrals. Pick a dessert. How can I just pick one? Ice cream. I really do like ice cream. What kind of question is that? Historical fiction? Pick a hair color that doesn't have to be yours. I've always wanted to have purple hair, so I'm picking anything colorful. Coffee or cinnamon? I think coffee. Guys, I am a funfetti cake. My name is Maya. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you are returning. Today we are going to be talking about a book I'm currently reading. Admittedly, I haven't finished it yet. I have about an hour left on the audiobook, but I feel like I've got the general gist, and also I need to record a video while the sun is still up. That book is Personality Isn't Permanent. I've had this book on hold for a really long time because the summary on the back, or the summary that my library's app promotes, is that it kind of disproves the Myers-Briggs personality test. It talks about how personality tests are sometimes actually dangerous when people create their identities and form their life's trajectory based on a test with no scientific backing. I thought that sounded real interesting, put it on hold, got it 2 days ago, and I've flown through it. Yes, I have. Personality tests have always interested me. I love taking BuzzFeed quizzes. I love it. I take probably like 2 a day, which I'm not proud of, but also at the same time, it makes me happy. It's not hindering my performance in any other part of my life. It's a good time. I don't take them seriously, though. When BuzzFeed tells me that I am a funfetti cake, I kind of laugh and then disregard it. However, not all personality tests appear so trivial in their results. For example, we have the MBTI personality test, also known as the Myers-Briggs personality test. Really popular personality test. In fact, there's a whole niche on YouTube of people who make videos specifically geared around this personality test. One YouTuber in particular, whose content I actually really genuinely enjoy, is Frank James. He makes a lot of content surrounding the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Pumpkin spice is back, baby! Sweater weather and fall leaves are right around the corner. If being basic is wrong, I don't want to be right.
The same personality test has actually been incorporated into a lot of businesses and educational systems, which I find absolutely fascinating. That said, there is no scientific backing behind most personality tests. This includes the color one, with like red, blue, white, yellow. BuzzFeed quizzes are not scientific, obviously. And the Myers-Briggs personality test is not either. Myers and Briggs were a mother and daughter who created the Myers-Briggs personality test in the early 20th century. The idea behind the Myers-Briggs personality test, again, is really well-intentioned. It's meant to show you who you are based on these 16 potential personality types and to help you succeed within your innate characteristics, to help you use what you got and learn to work with what you don't have, and to understand that there might be some places in your life you need to compromise or come up with new systems in order to succeed. But Myers-Briggs isn't scientific at all. It's based on these two women's insight and their ideas combined with the thoughts of Carl Jung. Myers-Briggs, the mother and the daughter, were not psychologists. They were not trained in the science of psychology or psychiatry. This test is purely based on their own thought processes, research, and intuition. It's not scientific. And that's all well and good, Maya, but my Myers-Briggs personality type fits me perfectly. Well, yeah. It was designed to. What's really interesting to me about personality quizzes is that they're made so vague that they could really apply to anyone. And in my opinion, this is the same thing for horoscopes. And when these different categories are created with such vague descriptions and such vague indicators, they really truly can apply to some extent to everyone who gets that result. So everyone who gets that result feels that it really reflects them. For example, I am an INFJ on the Myers-Briggs personality types test thingamajig. Alright, so let's look this up. The INFJ is introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. They're referred to as the advocate or the idealists, and their personalities are usually creative, gentle, and caring. Do I think these things apply to me? Yeah. Do I think that they could technically apply to absolutely anyone who has a passion or a care about anything in the world? Also, yeah. Apart from the fact that personality tests and their results are really vague and can thus apply to everyone, there's something else really interesting going on here that the book touches upon heavily. And that is the idea that personality is innate, that we're born with a personality, that it doesn't change, and that we have to structure our lives around it. And intuitively, that doesn't make sense to me, and that was kind of clarified and re-supported within this book. We go through our lives being shaped and touched by everything, by things that break us, by things that build us, by the people we surround ourselves with, even by the people that we don't surround ourselves with. And every day presents a new unknown. Into the unknown! I like to think of life as a giant game of improv. You have a general schedule, you kind of have a skeleton for what you think will happen, but you really don't know because life isn't planned. And because life isn't planned, you go along with it the best you can, you improv. And the ways in which you engage in this game of improvisation will change based on your circumstances, based on your past experience, based on your future goals. So it just doesn't make sense to me that personality would be stagnant. Believing that your personality is innate, that it's an unchangeable part of you, that it's something that can be categorized, implies that personality is something you were given. It implies that you were preordained to be a certain way, and I simply don't believe in that. Religious or not, I think that the concept of free will is really important, and something that I think everybody should consider in some way. We make decisions, and our decisions are our own, and we are responsible for those decisions. And thus, our trajectory in life, the way that we proceed, the way we pursue our goals or make habits, things like that, they're all determined by us. I'm not the same person I was a year ago, and I hope you aren't either, because if you are, then you probably haven't learned enough and grown in that time. It's important to me that I grow and improve and expand and expound upon my human potential and capacity. I think that's awesome. So in short, I'm an INFJ. I have the same personality type as Martin Luther King Jr. And you know what that means? Absolutely nothing. Because it's a personality type. It is a box that could apply to everyone because, one, it's not scientific. Two, it uses vague language so that if you get a result, you will connect to it in some way. And three, personality isn't permanent. It's something that will morph and evolve and change as you do, and personally, I think that's a really beautiful thing. Now, with that out of the way, I want to get into a critique of the novel itself. I absolutely do agree with the main point that the novel is pushing, which is, of course, that personality isn't permanent. It was written by a psychologist, and that adds to the validity of the book itself. It gives the author a bit of ethos. I will say, though, there was a whole chapter on why you should trust this guy. That was a little strange because, like, I'm already reading the book. I clearly trust you already. Just prove to me that I'm right in trusting you. Don't write a whole chapter about it. I don't know. I thought it was weird. Okay, the first critique, fat phobia. I understand that a lot of the time people who do pick up productivity books or self-help books are people who are looking to improve their lives in some way. And I also understand that in our society, it's thought that, you know what, if you're overweight, you should lose that weight for your health or for superficial reasons. Let's be quite honest here. And that's going to be a bit of your audience, and that you have to take that into consideration. And thus the book should speak to that audience in some way. There's just this idea that I feel runs through so many self-help and productivity books, which is that people who are fat are lazy or unproductive, or they are taking up too much space and not using that space to do anything they're passionate about, which is simply not true. I'm just very against diet culture in general. I think it does a lot more damage than it does good, because diets don't work. So maybe that's a part of the reason this bothers me so much, but it's just, I feel like perpetuating a stereotype, whether consciously or not, and I find a problem with that in most books of this nature. My second critique of this book is kind of multifaceted, so let's dive right in. I think it's very easy to tell people that they have control over their lives, and I believe that, and I think that actually has a little bit to do with the fact that I am an atheist. I don't believe in destiny. I don't believe the universe is creating or carving out a path for me. I don't believe any of that. If you do, that's totally cool. That said, I also realize that we live in a society. Groundbreaking, I know. And to live in a society is to be working within boundaries. I think that your past really does influence the way that your life can go. Because if you are raised in a home that was really low socioeconomic, it's going to be harder for you to move up the ladder because of classism. And then of course there's racism, there's sexism, and I find a lot of the time that books of this nature are written by white men. And that's actually something the author himself pointed out, which I appreciated. And when you are of the demographic that society was designed by and for, I think it's very easy to say that you can do whatever you want with your life if you work hard enough, if you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? I don't believe that, because that has not been my experience. And I myself am very privileged by both my class and my race. I know that there are barriers that prevent upward mobility when it comes to things like class, race, gender, sexual orientation, etc. I know that people can do all that they can, and they can put their heart and their body and their just hopes and dreams into a certain ambition, into a certain goal, really work hard for it, and still not succeed. This book, I feel, makes the claim that you can change your personality. I agree with that. But it also seems to make the claim that you can change your personality to a point where you can accomplish anything you want. I don't think that's true. Me changing my introverted nature to become an extrovert will not necessarily mean I'm more likely to be successful in the industry I want to go into, which is film. I will be hindered in some way, no matter what work I do on myself or in regard to my personality or my purpose. I will be hindered by my gender. Female directors are just not given as many opportunities as male directors. This is even more true for female directors of color or female directors belonging to the LGBTQ+ community. You have to consider intersectionality here. There have only been 5 female directors ever nominated for an Oscar in the history of the awards. 5. The first Academy Awards ceremony, commonly known as the Oscars, was held on May 16th, 1929. It's now 2020, almost, not quite, but almost 100 years later, and one female director has won Best Director at the Oscars. Is that because female directors aren't putting in the work to change their personalities, to really pursue their purpose and give it their all? I don't think so. I think that it is important to understand that we function within structures and systems that are not fair or just, and that there's only so much we can do internally to change that. My ultimate positive takeaways from the book were personality isn't permanent, and do not structure your life around a personality test. Don't use it to justify the position you're currently in. Again, this goes back to my critique about social structures, but don't justify your personality type as the reason that you're stuck where you are, and don't use your personality type to limit yourself in any way, because you will constantly be changing and evolving as a human, which is beautiful. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you pick up this book, please let me know your thoughts. And yeah, I will see you all again on Thursday for another video. Bye-bye.